That one was really one of the speakers. I was watching, sometimes I watch a wonderful UBC. When they are not playing football, they also give some news. Because when they have football, they forget about us. Now, I saw one of the young people, the young man is a legislator, was saying that in a company, you have got internal procedures where you can exercise administrative discipline. But if it is a crime, it must go to court. Of course it is correct. But if UPDF is not a business company, to find a member of parliament thinking that UPDF is a business company is really a disaster. So I want to congratulate Parliament, I want to congratulate the Speaker for saving us that big problem. Because there's no way UPDF soldiers can go to the magistrate courts once they have made mistakes in the barracks initially. It's not possible. I don't think it happens in other armies. So we need some capacity building for members of parliament. To know what happens in the world. You cannot say UPDF is like a company. It's not a company. It is a very powerful pillar of the state. And it must be handled in a special way. So I congratulate the Speaker and the front bench, the ministers, and the NRM caucus, Banang NRM caucus and other allied friends who are friendly. I want to thank all of them. May the Almighty God, I therefore have the pleasure to declare the 5th session of the 11th Parliament open. I salute all of you. May God bless you. Signed, Museveni, President of Uganda. Katonda wabere.
The government policy in your address to the nation and for fulfilling your constitutional obligation under Article 101(1) of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda. Your Excellency and honorable members, kindly allow me to take this opportunity to recognize the presence of the former speakers and presiding officers of the Parliament of Uganda. We have the Right Honorable Francis Butagira, 1980 to 1985. We have His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the Chairman of the National Resistance Council, 1989 and 1996. Right Honorable Edward Kiwanuka Sekandi, 2001 to 2011. We have the Right Honorable Alhaji Moses Chigongo, the Vice Chairperson of the National Resistance Council, 1986 to 1996. We appreciate them for the contribution to strengthening the foundation on which legislature stands today. May the good Lord bless all of you, because we are where we are because of you. And we'll also leave it for the next people who will come in. We take cognizance of the government's legislative agenda for the 5th session, and we pledge our utmost commitment to the 11th Parliament to prioritize the government business and expeditiously and exhaustively consider all the government business before any other business. Honorable members, pursuant to Rule 26(1) of the Rules of Procedure, we will allot time at a later date for an exhaustive debate on the President's address on the State of Nation. Honorable members, His Excellency the President will be back on Thursday, 12th June 2025, to deliver the budget speech. I want to invite all of you kindly to be here to receive the budget, and want to thank all the ambassadors who are here. We are very grateful that you're here and that you honored our invitation. I there want to ask members, please be here to receive the budget. Remember, one of your roles is appropriation. You did appropriate, and now you're here to receive, you'll be here to receive the budget. I want once again thank Your Excellency the President and all the dignitaries who have made it here. And thank you in a special way. Go to Mama Janet Kataha Museveni, for accompanying President for this State of Nation address. May the good Lord bless all of you. And as we wish you success in your election during this elective season.
Adjournment.
The House is adjourned to Thursday, 12th, 2025 at 2 p.m.
The anthems.
the State of the Nation's address, the President has completed his speech as given in Article 101 of the Constitution, and he has spoken and given us details of what his prospects are. Scorecard has been given, areas that he has seen that have fallen short, especially an area like corruption that he has spoken about, but also he has commended the House for passing numerous bills that have gone through. Specifically, he was appreciative of the UPDF Amendment Act there and gave a few credits there, especially talking about the soldier when they are in there. He wouldn't want them to fall short in that area. He wanted something that could hold them accountable. He also mentioned a number of bills that he expects that will be brought to the floor of Parliament in this fifth session to be able to discuss them before the winding up of the 11th Parliament, which will be sometime towards the end of this year, because we'll be getting into the elections there. But he also goes on to project what 4 areas will look like if Uganda is to jump into an area where it improves its economy. He talks about agro-industrialization, and he says its projection is about 20 billion dollars there, and he says this will revolutionize the economy of Uganda. He talks about tourism and travel and says this is a low-hanging fruit that can turn 5-fold and is about $50 billion. He looks at that. He also talks about minerals and says this is also a game changer in the area of qualification, which is happening now, and hopes that it will be completed. He says no mineral shall leave this country without value addition. He talks about gold, he talks about numerous minerals, and says this is an industry that is 25 billion at that. He talks about petroleum and chemical industry, and finally he talks about science, technology and ICT. These are areas that he says are game changers for the economy of Uganda, and these are the strategic areas that he has mentioned that could make the difference in there. But also the president spoke about a few issues, a few things that happen, especially expenditure rationalization, fight against corruption. He says that's one of the biggest things there. But he also talks about 33% of the people that are within the economy that are in subsistence farming, and he talks about they need to join the money economy. He talks about the traditional and the untraditional security areas that have been resolved, especially with the nation. He says we are peaceful as a nation. He talks about increase of URA in collections. He says collection needs to happen, and that was an emphasis that he went on to emphasize the training of the people that will come into the collection area. He says ICT will be involved in the collection if you go on there. He says the improvement of security in the Karamoja region has also improved there, but he talks about areas of operation in DRC there. He also credited for improving the welfare of the security, rehabilitation of schools, neutral and he says neutral and non-parasitic relationships are very important moving. I see Honorable Kajwenje is just next to me here. Honorable, please join me. Good evening. How are you?
Good evening to you. Very well, thank you.
It is good to see you looking as smart as usual.
My pleasure. But also glory to the NRM and to the people of Nyabushozi.
So the people of Nyabushozi, this speech you have had, how do you think they have taken it?
I think in good faith. I think the president was lively, was emphatic. On and what makes it the correct ideology, the philosophy, and the correct way the NRM has prescribed it. So we are really very, very happy.
And I like the projections. He talked about agro-industry, minerals, and said he has banned minerals being there. How is the implementation of these things supposed to trickle down through ministries, you legislators, to ensure that the people begin to feel the impact of this economy in their pockets?
I think, first of all, it's now clear. How do people feel the growth of the economy in their pockets? One, when services become visible and better, when hospitals are built when medicine is in the hospitals, when teachers, scientists, no problem.
Thank you, thank you. Honorable Kashwenje, thank you very much. And I am holding on to the Prime Minister here, and she's with me, Robina Nabanza, the one and only Prime Minister of the country. Good evening, Honorable. It's good to have you.
Good evening, brother.
How are you?
I'm fine.
How did you take the speech of the President? How was it to you? How was the outlook?
The President has given us a very well-researched address of the nation.
Yes.
Well-researched. All areas of our economy. And so, I want to say thank you so much, Mr. President. The bills. You have already seen me spearhead these bills. The bills that we presented in cabinet and the bills he has talked about. The president is the chair of cabinet. So he's bringing up certain bills which we think are necessary for the country to grow. He has talked about the accelerated development, the agro-industrialization.
Yes.
You are aware that we have so many agricultural products, and we are targeting both the national, the regional, and the international markets. So he talked about value addition on our agricultural products. So I want to encourage our people, especially our PDM farmers and other farmers, both the large scale and small scale farmers, to increase in production because we now have the market. What we need is to add value to our products. We have a very big market in UAE and these other Arab countries. Now our milk goes to Algeria. And secondly, he talked about the railway. You will appreciate that we have been struggling to have the railway in place. Now that it is almost there, we are going to start working on the railway. We shall continue to work on our roads as usual. He talked about peace and security. The lowest common multiple of development is peace and security of any nation. We have the umbilical cord of any economy. He talked about electricity.
Yes.
We now have more than 2,000 megawatts. He wants us, we project to have 52,000 megawatts in 2040. And that will attract investment because industries cannot do without electricity. Then he talked about roads. He talked about security, roads. He also talked about many other things.
Very interesting. And those 4 areas you have projected, how do you start to strategize to implement them? I know agriculture is an easy win for you, but there is tourism, there is science, there is minerals. He has put a ban on minerals.
No, he did that long ago. He did that long ago, and we stopped the exportation of raw materials, of our minerals. Let me give you another example. We have been exporting vanilla. He gave me a directive to stop and ban the exportation of raw timber. That's the far we have gone, and I believe you are aware. Yes. So the exportation of raw materials is a no-go zone area in our country. Why? We want them to add value to our products, to those minerals, so that we can, one, create jobs for our people. Oh, yes.
Lastly, Right Honorable Prime Minister, thank you for resolving Kakumiro. I saw it, and you did a fantastic job to make it meticulous. But when you look at the elections and the democracy the President has talked about, we seem like the NRM is doing an amazing job at the grassroots. Do we seem to see the same thing come the primaries, the elections? How do you see the outlook as the leader of government business there?
For what I see in my district, for example, you saw me come in when I was seeing our people were pulling ropes. And I saw it was going to divide the support of our party. I informed Museveni about this, and he's aware. So we are looking at how to unite our people, and of course, how to get the best out of the best in terms of leaders. And so we always think that we can continue to mobilize and sensitize. As the president said, at a later time he said he's going to invite us, and once he invites us, he will guide. And we see how to go through this electoral period without any problems.
Your vote of confidence to the Ugandans that are watching you, you always have a piece of advice to give. Right Honorable Prime Minister, what is your advice to Ugandans on this day of the State of the Nation's address?
To focus on development, to be peaceful right from their families, their homesteads, to have an income in their homesteads, to have an enterprise where you can get something for your family. That's all.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Prime Minister. We have heard from the Right Honorable Prime Minister Robin Anabanja. They are giving us especially the 4 areas that are in foresight that the President has mentioned. I am joined by the Honorable Anite.
How are you?
I'm very well. Good evening, and how are you?
I'm fine, thanks. How are you?
How was the outlook of the State of the Nations in your view, especially in the docket that you hold?
Exciting, because the President mentions the fact that actually manufacturing is the answer to the unemployment in this country. And I want to tell you that his point is spot on, given the fact that manufacturing alone has created 1.2 million jobs for Ugandans. And so if we continue with that path of manufacturing, we will be able to absorb the unemployed population of Uganda. And I also want to say that the public service jobs can only create 490,000 jobs. And yet every year, academic year, we get over 700,000 graduates from the universities. So it is important that we focus on manufacturing. And what is important for me, and exciting news for me to say to Ugandans and also the foreign direct investors, is that the President has mentioned that Uganda's economy is one economy where you get return on investment of 14%.